gentlemen, broadcasting live
Way to go, baby!
from Dallas, Texas.
No puppies. I need a dog to make a play.
Presented by the law firm of Vincent Gonzalez.
It's time for football.
It's Paco's Locker Room Talk.
What a day, what a day, what a day.
Our man Billy Davis is somewhere stranded on the highway of 190 with a blowout rocket, but he's trying to make it here. He's got AAA coming out. So everyone, I'd like to welcome Rocket Ismail, all the way from
Irving,
Texas. Okay, I didn't know if you were still living there or not, Rocket.
Yeah, man. Irving got there in '99 and never left.
Okay. I still remember the first day I met you. Jerry said, "Go to the airport." Yeah. I said, "Go pick up Rocket and his wife, Milani."
Yep.
Milani, and I drove you guys around for 2-3 days, wasn't it?
Man, that was when we came down to Dallas. I was here begrudgingly. I was only here because I thought God was going to strike me dead if I didn't come down to at least explore what was going on in Dallas. And the reason why was because I grew up a Steelers fan. And I don't know, man, my life is so interesting in one regard. There was a point where I realized there were certain things that I couldn't do if I expected to reach my full potential as a human being. And coming to Dallas was, when I say begrudgingly, was because I remember I was totally set on wanting to stay in Carolina.
Right.
And gave them the hometown discount, the whole nine. And I remember every team calling was like, "Hey man, we really want you. We're really interested." I was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm going to stay here." Okay, on to the next one. Right. Remember Daniel Snyder, a little bit, he was like, "Hey, well, we'll make you the highest paid receiver in the league." I was like, "No, I'm good. I don't want to go." Man, Jerry Jones called, and it was so unreal to me because when I was like, "Oh, heck no, ain't no way I'm going to the Cowboys. I hate Dallas." Like, Dallas, no exaggeration. Even while I was playing, Dallas was one of the few teams where if I was on the field, I would in my heart, I was like, "Oh, I hope somebody gets hurt. I hate them so bad." Like I would feel that way. And I'm a grown man playing. I never had those feelings against any other team. And I think a part of it was when I was younger, I was jealous because they used to always win, or when Ryder Staubach, they would always come from behind, something crazy, right? But I remember when Jerry called and he was like, "Hey man, we really love to have you down once you come take a visit." And I said, "Well, Mr. Jones, I'm not going to be coming to Dallas. I'm going to stay here in Carolina, and I'm really happy where I am." He said, "Oh no, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. You take your time. Don't even worry, man. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to come down. Just think on it." I was like, "Wait, what? Bro, I just told you no." And he played the Jedi mind trick on some old, "Hey, don't worry about that right now. We'll have another conversation and then we can discuss further." And I was just like, "What?" And I remember hanging up and I told my wife, I was like, "That was crazy. He just doesn't know how much I hate the Cowboys." So my father-in-law, at the time, he was a pastor in Los Angeles, and I was just keeping him up with what was going on.
Right.
And I told him about the call with Jerry Jones. And there was a silence on the phone that inside of me knew, like, this is one of those moments. There's something required of me. And he said, "Son, there's certain doors that no matter how much you try to close them and they don't close, there's certain doors that you need to pursue and see what happens when you walk through them."
Right. And
he didn't bring God into it, but I knew it was like a divine conversation that he was having with me. And later that night, I got the same feeling that I would get at other points in my life,
right,
that if I didn't pursue this, that something that I was supposed to get from this Dallas experience was, if I didn't do it, I would not be able to be whoever I'm called to be in my life. Like it wouldn't manifest. I wouldn't reach my full potential. And that's when I was like, I got real mad, and I called him back, and I was like, "All right, man." I told my wife, she was all in agreement with her dad, and I was like, "Yo, all like, this is terrible. Anyway, came down, got a chance to meet good people like you, and the rest is history.
Wow, I didn't know you disliked the Cowboys.
Oh man, it was bad, and it was crazy because one of the things the Lord showed me was there's certain things that we encounter in our lives that are meant to sabotage us, but they're hidden or they're given credibility and we overlook them and we don't even realize that they're being in our life, and we opening the door and accepting them, it puts us in a position where we're vulnerable.
Right.
And when I say vulnerable to be sabotaged so that we can't reach our full potential. And that was a hate that was a legitimate, like in culture, there's one of the last hates I hate this particular team, or I hate that particular team.
Right.
And everybody in your circle will be like, oh man, yeah, I feel you. None of them be like, yo, man, that's something is sick about that. You got to check yourself. Like nobody will say that.
Right.
So
right.
that was one of the things that I realized. Okay, this is not something that I need to overlook. I have to pay attention to this, and so I did, and ended up down here in Dallas.
Wow. And I know we jumped to that right away because of the way we met. But when you were in high school, you went to school in
Pennsylvania. Well, what happened? So high school was in Pennsylvania, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, Myers High School, E.L. Myers High School, Elmer L. Myers, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And how we got to Pennsylvania was my father died when I was 10.
Oh, wow.
So now it's my mom and my two brothers. I have an older sister, but she was out working and stuff on her own at that point, and she's 11 years older than me. And then we started, like when my father was alive, there was like a disciplined, like, hey, this is what was expected of you, and you don't appreciate discipline when you're young. Most people don't, even now. But we started having we're going here and there, and when my mother, now she's gone like all day and most of the night, most of the weeknights, because she's working several jobs now to keep things afloat.
Right.
My grandmother stepped in, 77 years old, and was like, send the boys to live with me in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And it was like the best thing. It was such a blessing, because we didn't know this, but lurking in the wake was this thing called crack cocaine. Mm-hmm. And now Newark, New Jersey, which is where we were living at the time, I was born in Elizabeth, New Jersey, was a very tough place. Like, you always had to be able to fight, or at least have the appearance that you can fight, and then while they trying to figure it out, you run as fast as you can, like one of those two.
Right.
And the burden to fight or to be the one that was tough came on me, because I was the oldest brother.
Right.
But when crack came, like, everything got extra violent, extra murderous, extra lascivious, extra corrupt. Like it just, but the blessing was, man, by the time that happened, we're hearing about it on the phone, but we're at my grandmother's house in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Living with your grandmother.
So it saved us, and it put us in an environment that cultivated all of our gifts and put us in a mindset of thinking beyond just the next day, but like, okay, we're now in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and we're thinking about college, and we're in an environment that's saying, hey, you can do great things. And it was interesting because when I first got a kind of like the football bug, I think I was 5 years old. I was watching the Super Bowl we were at a Super Bowl party. Matter of fact, I think Dallas was playing the Steelers in that Super Bowl. And like when I saw it, like something, it just like, it grabbed me. Uh-huh. And something in me, it was like a fire, a passion. I was like, I'm going to do that. And not knowing anything about it other than, wow. And then I asked my sister, and it's the crazy thing. My sister's watching the game. And so I'm like, I think I was going to run up on her and smack her in the head and run or something crazy. And she then turns and I said, "What is this?" Because it was almost like it mesmerized me. And I'm looking at it. She's like, "This is football." And I was like, and so she started explaining, "This team is the Steelers. This team is the Cowboys. This is the team that I like." She was a Cowboys fan.
Oh, really?
And yeah. So it was like that's what turned me to the Steelers. Cause I can't like who my sister likes. So from that moment on, it was like that's what I wanted to do. And it was interesting because moving to Wilkes-Barre, it was like everything that was necessary for me to believe that I could accomplish this thing that I saw on television and become what I started dreaming about becoming. Like everything I needed was in Wilkes-Barre, just fell into place, and it just started flowing from there. There was no hiccup. There wasn't any struggle to get to that point.
Right.
And, lo and behold, boom, that's what Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, as a part of my foundation, was vital to be able to have be able to live there.
So all three brothers moved with your grandma.
Yep, exactly.
And who was a better athlete in high school of the three brothers?
I came into my athleticism sooner than my brothers did. And I remember when I was 5, I could catch a tennis ball with one hand. I could ride a 10-speed bike, but it had to be a girl's 10-speed because I wasn't big enough to get. I had to ride in. You know how the boys had the straight bar, which I never understood. Why would a dude anyway? And then the girls had the little V in between, so I would ride in between there, and but I was able to.
At 5 years old,
at 5 years old, I just remember those were certain things that. Now that I look back on it, coordination, balance.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know when, but around that time, I realized I was fast. And, a big part of living in, I don't know where I live, Newark was considered, it wasn't as ghetto yet, but crack turned it into a ghetto, hardcore ghetto. But racing, like little children racing against each other,
right?
Like that was the deal. And I was always, especially for my age, I was good from my age and maybe 6 to 7 years older than me, as far as just running. And so for me, I think my athletic prowess came out sooner. And then Kadri, he grew faster, so it took a minute for him to get used to his body because he was always taller.
Right.
And then Suleiman was still sucking his thumb, so we didn't know what was going to happen to him, which he's my youngest brother.
Okay.
So anyhow, it turns out he's a doggone, like he's a MMA, jiu-jitsu.
Is that what he likes?
He did all kinds. Yeah, he football, basketball, track. He was a state champion, I think, in the 200. But he like that fighting stuff. So anyway.
Wow. And so who came from Notre Dame to come recruit you?
So the Notre Dame situation, Coach Holtz came to the school, and once, so what happened was my junior year, the summer before my senior year, I might have been about 5'8", 160, 155, something like that. And we went to the Syracuse University football camp. Randy Edsel was the recruiter. He was a reason like Don McPherson, Scott Schwades, Tim Green and all, like he was recruiting all those guys.
Right.
He was a superstar recruiter, and and we went to the football camp at the Sky Dome or Carrier Dome. Was it Carrier Dome? Carrier Dome. Sky Dome was Canada. And when we got there, I remember he was. It was a summer football camp, and it was probably about 300-400 kids there. And they took us to the Carrier Dome, and they lined us up, and we were running 40s,
right,
just to see whatever. So prior to that, my fastest 40 was timed my freshman year. I ran a 4.7. So, but I was blazing, and I was like, man, I was pretty fast. Man, he lined us up, and it was him, and I think it was either Coach Fears or who's the strength and conditioning coach now, the head coach with the Cowboys?
Warsick.
It was one of those two,
right.
and Randy Edsel. And they're timing us, and they're just timing everybody. And you come back, they give you time, you run back, you give it to them, and at the start, and they tell you it was a little process.
Right.
I came through, bam. And I came back to get it, and both of them were just like looking in awe at their watches, like, what the heck? And then they looked at each other, and I remember them saying to each other, what did you get? And then the other coach looked at Randy's like, no, what'd you get? And they looked at each other, and they looked at me and said, can you do that again? And I was like, okay. So I ran back down and said, what was your time? He said, I don't know. They told me I had to do it again. So I thought I messed up.
Right.
Man, I ran that mug again. They were like stunned. They totally ignored me. And they just walked over to themselves. And then all the coaches from the high school and the parents that came to the camp,
right.
They were in the stands. It might have been maybe, if there were 400 children, it might have been maybe 100 adults in the stands. And they went over to the stands and they like a big huddle. And so they were like, just go back down and go back down. So I went back down. They like, what'd you get? I was like, they didn't tell me. And then the guy goes, it was like you remember the wave in the stadium? Like everybody stands up and it goes to sections all throughout.
Right.
I remember it was like an audible wave came down towards us. And all I remember is they were like, 14, it got down to us. Man, he ran a 4.3. Oh my God. That's like a 4.3 then was like running a 4.1 now.
Right.
They were so stunned. And they were like, what? And everybody's like, what? 4.3? And everybody, all the coaches, and then my coaches are like, hey man, we getting out of here. We already we got to go. So we drove 3 hours back to Wilkes-Barre. And that set off a chain of events around the country with coaches like, yo, this Ismail kid, okay, he's really fast.
Right.
And these coaches made him do it twice. And he ran faster the second time. Like that kind of deal.
Wow.
And so that's when got on the radar, big time coaches back then, Joe Paterno, Coach Holtz, they came to the school. Coach Holtz, I thought I messed up because they had me listed in the program as 5'10", 170 pounds, which was a bunch. Now, my brother was 5'10", 170. Right. He was the fullback. I was the tailback. And I just remember when they called us out of class to go meet him, and he was at the athletic director's office, and I went to shake his hand, and he said, oh, you must be Kadri. And I said, no, sir, I'm Rocket. And like his eyes, like when I looked at his eyes for that, like the twinkling of an eye, I saw him like, dagnabbit, they don't lie to me. This boy is smaller than a Tic Tac. Like that kind of, and I was like, oh, he's not gonna recruit me. Really? But anyway, that was what went down that way.
Wow. And so did you, I guess you were there all 4 years, correct?
So at Notre Dame?
Yes.
I was there 3 years, fully intended to be there 4 years. But when it was 1990, we just played the Orange Bowl. We played against Colorado. It was the second year in a row we played in the Orange Bowl against Colorado. I think we lost the second game like 10-9 or something like that. Mm-hmm. I returned to kick a punt return.
Right.
With like 1 minute, 6 seconds left. Took it to the house. Called a flag on it. We ended up losing the game. Fly home. Get back to the house. I'm tired. I'm in the bed. I have a dream that my brother comes and wakes me up. My brother Kadri comes and wakes me up, and he's like, hey, man, something bad happened. I'm in the dream, and then I get awakened out of the dream by my brother Kadri, like, oh, man, like he was really like a sad kind of like shocked, like, hey, man, wake up.
Right.
Long story short, one of my my teammate, Chris Zorich.
I remember Chris Zorich.
Oh, man, that was a bad man. His
played for the Bears. Defensive tackle.
D-tackle.
Yeah.
It was national news. He came home, found his mother had passed away, and it was like a shock to my system. And I remember we were all in my mother's room at that time, like, oh man, this is crazy. And in my mind, I'm thinking you had the man of the house complex. My dad used to always, like, when I was a young boy, yeah, you're the man of the house if I'm not around, whatever.
Right.
And so it dawned on me that, man, tomorrow's not promised to anyone. And if I'm going to be going to the NFL, and I'll stop right there, my freshman year and my sophomore year, we went to there was a guy named Bob Hope back in the day. You probably remember. Remember Bob? You probably not. Anyway, there was a guy named Bob Hope. He was a big-time entertainer and comedian.
Yes, I know Bob Hope. I remember.
Oh, okay, you remember? Okay,
yes,
so
of course. Everybody knows Bob Hope.
He had a All-American show.
Right. Used to be shown
it was
nationally, yes.
Yeah, it was like either during Christmas or Thanksgiving, one
Yes.
of those. But all of the consensus All-Americans from throughout the country would fly out to Los Angeles, and he'd present us on the show, make a quip about
joke,
us
yeah.
or something, and then we'd run, and then there they are, ladies and gentlemen, whatever. Well, when we went to do the show, Emmett, Leroy Butler, Mark Carrier, who was a safety for USC at the time, and Todd Light, myself, and Chris Zorich, we all piled in his car. He had a Volkswagen Jetta. Bruh, it was like sardines up in him. He had a Volkswagen Jetta, and obviously I'm the littlest dude, so I got to lay across the lap. Oh, man. And so I'm in the car, and...
So they didn't fly y'all up there?
No. They flew us there, but when we're in Los Angeles, we're at the hotel in Century City. Mark is like, yo, the Black Student Association of USC is having a party tonight. Yeah, let's roll over. Y'all want to roll to the party? Like, yeah, let's go. And plus, I was a dancer. When I say dancer, I could do whatever the latest dancers were. And at the time, EPMD had the Steve Martin. So that was like the latest dance. Anyway, I could do all that stuff. Okay. And so, I got to move the tail back for that game. Anyway, so the we are in the car, and they start talking about guys going pro. And I'm like, hey man, you need to think about going pro. And I was like, huh? What?
You never even thought about
that? Man, my mind wasn't even in that lane.
Right.
And then my sophomore year, we were there again. The guy's like, yo, man, you need to go pro, man. You need to go pro. And like, I didn't even think nothing about it. Then my junior year, Mr. Dwyer, who was responsible for me going, I hope this isn't illegal or anything, but it
was 30 years ago, bro.
Okay, I'm just, now they mess around, do some crazy stuff and get you caught up. Before the season, he takes me to this is my junior year.
Right.
He takes me to a local bank, and we get a loan to buy an insurance policy. I think it was $1 million or something like that.
Right.
And then I was like, well, wait, why is he so serious? Like, no, you need to. And so I said all that to say, as I'm sitting there on the bed, finding out that, my boy's mother just passed, and I'm looking at my mom like, ooh, tomorrow's not promised. What happens if I need to start taking action? My mind went back to, well, they say you can go pro. Maybe I need to do that. I need to go to NFL. And that's what started that process. So I wasn't there for 4 years. I was only there for 3 years. I meant to be there for 4 years. I was voted captain actually for going into my 4th year, but I ended up telling them I wanted to go pro, and I left and ended up going to Canada. Did
you leave on good terms with Lou at that time?
Or I could tell he was a little disappointed, but it wasn't like Coach Holtz was unique to me because he was notorious for if one of his players, if they're a star or not, broke the rules, he'll dismiss you and keep on moving.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So it was like, even though I was going to play a big part going into my senior year and what Notre Dame was doing offensively and on special teams, it wasn't a breach of, he still loved me. He understood, and he was supportive. That's just how life happened to make its turn at that particular time.
Right. And the reason why I'm talking about Notre Dame, you have a lot of fans here in Dallas from Notre Dame. I mean, originally we were supposed to do this show at Knockout Sports Bar, and some things happened. Oh. But we had people show up there, quite a few people, and I got a text from the manager, said you guys were expected to be out here. But we might – I mean, I didn't know you were so much in demand, Rocky. We might have to have you do another show.
I didn't know I was in demand, bro.
But I had to make sure I talked about Notre Dame. My brother is a big Notre Dame fan. I mean, every year he predicts national championship for Notre Dame. Every year. I mean, even when you guys were going through coaches like underwear, He said, "Oh, we'll still go to the national championship. Don't worry about it." I mean, he just
that's that faith, son. That's that faith.
Oh, he just. But anyways, so you end up going to Notre Dame,
Right.
You go to Canada. Did you go? What was the first team you went to? Was it Donald Trump's team?
No. So what happened was,
Or was it Generals? Was it the Generals?
so check this connection out and check this Dallas connection out. And remember, I told you certain lessons had to be learned.
Right.
Like certain lessons are necessary. So a lot of times in life, there are opportunities that come, but then that opportunity comes and goes, and you never get that opportunity again.
Right.
When things are necessary, I'm not saying this is cut in stone, but I'm just talking about for my life. When
Right.
things are necessary for my growth and development and being, like I told you, able to reach your full potential, if you miss them once, they'll come around a second time. And I say that to say, I was projected to be the first pick of the draft. That was the draft where Russell actually got picked to the Cowboys. He was
Maryland.
the first pick, Russell Maryland. Oh, wow. So the rule was, once I declared I was coming out into the draft, the rule was if you're going to be the first pick, you got to sign a contract with an NFL team prior to the actual draft taking place. And the reason why was because of what John Elway did. John Elway was like going to be the first pick out of Stanford, but he was supposed to go to Baltimore, the Baltimore
Right,
Colts
yes,
at the time.
yes.
But he was like, no, that team is garbage. I'm
Right.
not going there. I'm going to play baseball.
Right.
He went to play baseball, and it messed up the draft. So they put the rule in, though this doesn't happen again, whoever's going to be the first pick, they got to sign before the draft actually starts.
Right.
So now I'm on the phone negotiating with the 5 teams that potentially could have the first pick of the draft. It was like the Falcons.
You or did you have someone?
So Ralph Wiley, who was an amazing writer, God bless his soul. Man, I like gravitated to him like as a mentor, man. This black man, he was sharp, he could communicate well, he had swag. Like he was the kind of black man who could say bad stuff about white people and they'd be like, not be offended by it. And that's when I learned the importance of being able to communicate. And you can speak the truth, but if you speak it with a spirit that is in truth and not a spirit that's trying to retaliate or a spirit that's trying to belittle or anything of that nature, man, it's going to be received more times than not. So I was like, yo, this cat is cool. I need to, hang out with him, get to know him. And then I told him about the whole situation. So he helped transition us through there and was like, all right, look, this agent right here, this attorney right here, what have you. So the attorneys that were agents were talking to the NFL guys, and essentially all of the teams offered the same deal. They were like 5 years, $1.5 million total, $400,000 signing bonus, and then the rest would be prorated throughout the 5 years.
Right.
And I was just like, well, dang, what, that's crazy. And that's how it is. All of a sudden, we get a call. Our attorney gets a call. John Edwards, he was out of San Francisco, gets a call from a guy named Bruce McNall, who at the time was the owner of the Los Angeles Kings. He had a movie production company, had a rare collectibles company. He had stake in some racehorsing, and he had just brokered one of the biggest moves in hockey by bringing Wayne Gretzky from Canada to Los Angeles.
To the Kings, yes.
To the Kings. So they called, and he had a idea that he wanted to run by us, and they wanted to fly me out to Los Angeles to come hear what they had to say.
Right.
And so I was like, what? And all he mentioned was something about the CFL. I'm like, CFL? I think I used to watch their games every once in a while when I was little. And ESPN, when ESPN was first starting, they would sometimes play some CFL games. So ended up flying out to Los Angeles. He told me, hey, man, $4 million a year contract, personal services. You'll have a 10% stake in the team. His plan was, because, he was in the $100 million range as far as his assets.
Right.
And he got wind from his other boys, who were some of them NFL owners, that they were looking to expand, and they were looking to expand internet. Remember NFL Europe and all that stuff?
Yeah,
they're looking to expand internationally and like make the NFL bigger and all that stuff. So his plan was Toronto is a market that can be amazing. Take the Toronto market. It's growing like what they want demographically, and it can be good for an NFL team.
Right.
And they want it to be an NFL team in Toronto. And so ended up going to them, announced it the day before the draft. Then we called, Ralph was like, what team in the NFL you want to play for? So at the time, the only team that had, the team, Al Davis was known for liking speed. So we're like, yo, call the Raiders and let them know that after my contract is up here, I'll come there. So the Raiders drafted me in the 4th round with the 100th pick. And, that's how all that happened.
Wow. Amazing. A lot of these stories we never heard, never knew about.
Right.
But we're fixing to go to break for a few minutes, or for about a minute or so, and then we'll come back and we're going to start talking about the pro level with Rocket Ismail.
This is Jesse A. Montoya, raised on the streets of West Dallas. Started boxing in the late 1950s, making a promise to his mother that he would move her out of the poverty-stricken area. As a kid, Jesse would be one of the first in the state of Texas to compete against other African-American kids during the lift of segregation and the beginning of the civil rights movement. 60 years have passed and Jesse continues to be a part of the sport. His passion for boxing has allowed him to serve as a trainer, a coach, a mentor, and a community leader, working with both amateur and professional fighters. Jesse has literally mentored generations of young fighters since the 1970s. He is recognized as one of the first Hispanic coaches in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, while pioneering the first inner-city amateur boxing program that has awarded him and the boxing gym that carries his namesake with numerous team trophies. Throughout the years, Jesse and his staff, that includes his sons Anthony and Michael, have trained many successful boxers, a program acknowledged by USA Boxing. This is Jesse A. Montoya of Montoya Boxing, a pillar of amateur boxing in Dallas-Fort Worth.
"78 years old, Rocket. That's my dad. Your son's boxing, isn't he?"
Yo, my youngest son. Yeah,
In Capel. Or no, Irving.
it's right in Irving, Valley Ranch, right
Valley
down
Ranch,
right,
that's
right down the
right.
hill there. I forget the name of the gym, but yeah.
I wish you guys were a lot closer, man. I'd love to have your son.
Man, we might
out
come
there.
through, man, and let them do a workout with you guys. or
Yeah,
something.
definitely. The cap I'm wearing today is Rudolph's Meat Market. Rocky, you need to go by there and see them. They're right there in Deep Ellum.
Do they have wild caught gear?
Well,
Stuff?
they got everything. It's like the old Rocky movie. They got meat hanging all.
Oh, wow.
Walk you through the freezer and everything. I mean, these guys been around for years. It's owned by a good friend of ours named Richard Andreessen, and his family's been in it, I want to say, since the 1940s or something like that.
Wow, okay.
They've been in the business a long time, but they're going to be coming on as a sponsor for the show. So I told him that I would wear his cap. That's why I'm wearing his cap today, Rudolph's Market.
Can you buy like half a cow and all that stuff
Yes.
from him? That kind of okay.
Yes,
cool.
it's I mean, I was in there this morning. But anyways, let's get back to your pro side of your story.
Okay.
And so you end up going. You play how many years in Canada?
So I was 2 years in Canada.
Okay.
And then the owner got in trouble with the feds, and then that expedited my return to Los Angeles, and now I was in Los Angeles with the Raiders.
Okay. And you played with the Raiders 3 or 4 years?
I think I was there 4, but I got traded that 4th year, which was the beginning of a training camp. Then I was in Carolina. So overall, I was 12 years. Went from Carolina, ended up here in Dallas in '99.
Okay, and what made you stay here in Dallas? I mean, you could have lived.
So at the time, it was more like, okay, we still had our house in Charlotte, and we were like, well, we'll go back after. But we had our children were in like preschool, and they were having, they were enjoying their time, and we were seeing some development. So we're like, okay, let's just see how it goes here. And then the state tax thing started like coming into play, and I was like, well, wait a minute, if this is my residence, I could save a little more money. And then the thing that surprised me, the Cowboys, like they kept contacting me like, hey, we got an appearance here, we got something here, we got this corporate speaking engagement here, whatever. And it was like, man, it'd be, money connected to it.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, okay. And then my wife's family was out in Los Angeles. So it was like with the young children flying from Charlotte to Los Angeles was pretty taxing.
Right.
Going from Dallas to Los Angeles was more manageable. And then I was doing a lot of things that had to get onto the flight. So we were right up the street from the airport.
DFW, yeah.
So it was just a lot of things. It was very convenient. And we were just like, okay, let's do one more year. Let's do it this year. Let's do it. Before you know it, we're here 20 some odd years later. And that's the short of the long.
Yeah, I was surprised actually that you were still here in town.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I tell players all the time, it's just like perfect example was Alvin Harper. When he left the Cowboys, we told him, man, whatever they're going to pay you as a number one receiver out there, you'll make that here just an endorsement as a Cowboy.
Yes.
I mean, because everywhere else you go, they're not going to throw money at you like they do here.
I can attest to it, and I'm saying that with the understanding that I never played any Super Bowls, I never played or made any Pro Bowls, never did anything that I deem. I had a couple of moments here and there, but like a guy like Alvin or anybody who has like played in the glory years, the recent glory years, oh man, they do it right, man. It can be a blessing to you.
Yes, and they're still in demand here. You guys do appearances at the stadium all the time.
Oh man, one of the things that I will say, especially now that I work with the NFL Legends community and understand just how each team deals with their legends, what they call them alumni,
right,
and stuff. And so to understand when I'm saying legends, is the difference between a legend and an icon.
Right.
So anyone who has played in the NFL, because of the small percentage, it's like a ridiculously minute percentage of people that make it to that level, man, that's some legendary stuff. Now, if you're like Hall of Fame, like Dallas has tons of Hall of Fame guys, or even Ring of Honor guys, that's iconic, like what you've done. So I just wanted to make that distinction so people don't think I'm like patting myself on the shoulder.
Oh, no.
But here in Dallas, the Cowboys, how they treat their legends and how they engage us in the demand in the state and even in other states is huge. And there's certain teams that have that,
right,
but Dallas is right up there with the best of them.
I mean, even when I remember when we were 1-15, you might not travel the same, but you're still recognizable. I mean,
right,
when we were 1-15, heck, I could tell you, we went from, doing the off-season program, we went from driving our own vehicles to a charitable event. And then later on, they got us vans. We start getting a little bit better.
Right.
And then they got us Winnebagos because we were like, hey, man, we need a little bit of upgrade.
Yeah.
And then we went to commercial airlines.
Yes.
And then after that, it was private jets.
Yep.
We started winning Super Bowls. Private jets.
Understood.
That's the way we had it. And it was just because they were a Cowboy.
Yep.
and none of it had to do with me. It just I just happened to travel with the team, and I worked with them.
Right.
And I was able to see the way everything was done. But man, just everywhere, you're more recognizable as a Dallas Cowboy or even / Notre Dame because, man, at Notre Dame.
And but that's the thing. Like right now, all of the people who are in positions of authority, they grew up watching when I was at Notre Dame, and Notre Dame was back making its resurgence on the national platform and really having success. And then we had an iconic coach in Lou Holtz.
Yes.
So it was like all of the things were just lined up together. So it is a blessing just the timing wise. Like everybody who is a decision maker, they remember my Notre Dame days, and then it's just like icing on a cake that you played in Dallas.
Yeah, yeah. Now let me ask you this: you played in Canada.
Why you gotta show that picture? Strike that from the record. That doggone Dion interception when I was with the Raiders, that was the worst. Yeah, that one right there. That is a setup.
Okay.
That is a setup. I just want to.
Okay.
I need time to explain that picture, but we only got 15 minutes. Go ahead.
When you were at Notre Dame, I'm sure the weather was a little cold out there.
Oh, but you got to remember, I'm coming from the Northeast. So I'm in Jersey, and then I'm in Pennsylvania. Like both of those places, as soon as the last day of summer is over, the last day of summer could be 84 degrees.
Right.
Man, the first day of fall, it's going to be 64 degrees. And that's a big drop.
Yeah.
Like but it's like you're used to that. That wasn't any big thing to me.
So it was no big thing for
not
you
at
playing
all.
in Canada.
No. I mean, we played indoors.
Oh,
but
in Canada you
in
played
Toronto, the Sky Dome. It was one of the
Okay.
biggest, a cool attraction in it was like the hotel and everything was built into it. But yeah, the weather wasn't. The only time weather became a factor is when I moved to Los Angeles, and then I think I got soft, man. Like mentally, it was just like that warm 70, 75, 80 degree weather, man.
Right.
It was just. And then I was in an environment when I got with the Raiders, and I didn't understand the importance of environment in developing us.
Right.
But it was like some of the way a lot of the veterans would talk, and a lot of the guys who were Hall of Famers and everything, like the way they would approach the season and look at our schedule and be like, we're gonna struggle here, we're not gonna do good. Like I'm absorbing that,
Right.
and subconsciously it made me not as tough as I grew up.
Right.
And so I had to recalibrate when I got to Carolina. But yeah, the cold weather was nothing to me back then.
Wow. I always wondered, but I didn't. I still see some CFL games, and they play their Super Bowl or their
the Grey Cup, man. That
in
thing,
the snow,
bro.
don't
We
they?
played ours in. I know it was double digits below zero, and I just remember the football feeling like glass. I just remember. Now I will say, I was colder when I was in Carolina and we played the NFC Championship game at Green Bay. And I remember coming out of the tunnel for warm-ups.
Right.
And I usually would jog down the field, and then I'd go meet my position coach and start doing the warm-ups and stuff. Man, I got to the 50-yard line. I couldn't feel my toes. I got to the doggone other end zone. I couldn't feel my feet or my nose. And then my fingertips was, man, I ride like, man, genetically, I am not built for this at this moment. I need to get back in the locker. I ran up in that locker room. I did not come out until the doggone kickoff. I stayed in there. Team break. All right, let's go out, man. Hey, man. I'm not going out. I'm not exposing myself to the elements unnecessarily. And so, yeah, that was the coldest I was. And the field, it was muddy, but it was frozen. So it was like these peaks of mud and grass combination is sticking up, looking like a doggone. The Richter scale when it's it looked like that in real life. It was crazy.
So
man.
you couldn't even run a perfect route because you could twist your ankle or something.
Now, I say all that. Sterling Sharp had no problem running excellent routes, doing amazing feats in that same environment on that same field. I just wasn't. I'd gotten soft, and I had to like I said, recalibrate and like, hey, wake up, check out of it. You got this. You got whatever it takes wherever you are to succeed. Period.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of people have said, That's been the coldest. When they go to Green Bay, it's always the coldest game. I remember the guys talking about when they played Green Bay, and on purpose, they called everyone to the wake up call, and on the wake up call it said, "It is 9 below." Your wake up call.
Oh, you talking about the hotel?
Cowboys versus at Green Bay.
Yeah,
they
man.
wanted you to know how cold it was out there.
Yeah, bro,
when you're waking up.
Yeah, you gotta overcome that, and a lot of guys don't even realize that they don't train themselves properly. Like when people talk about mental toughness,
right?
That's one of the you have to have an I don't care attitude regardless of the weather. And like even when it's really hot outside, you have to have an I don't care attitude, or you are sabotaging your own ability to reach your full potential in that environment.
Right. Okay, some quick questions. We got about 14 minutes.
Okay,
well, close to that. What was the hardest system to learn, and on all the teams you played in, hardest system to learn?
The hardest system to learn. None of the offensive systems were that hard to learn. The last system, which was Coslet, was it Bruce Coslet that came when Campo was the coach? He was offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
His was until one day I just got a divine download as far as just in one day I understood everything. And then that same day, that's when I got my neck injured and I was paralyzed for about 8-10 minutes on the field, full body. But anyway, quick question. Yep, that was the Coslet system. But in one day, I everything just came to me. So there really wasn't one to fit that question.
Okay. Best quarterback you ever played for?
Berline.
I should say.
Well, I'll say Steve Berline.
Steve Berline. You played here at the Cowboys too. You know that.
I do remember that before he came to Carolina.
Yes.
And he had the full embodiment. He knew why I say he was the best, because he knew how to, whatever the receiver needed, he knew some guys needed to be yelled at and berated. And he knew some guys needed to be, oh, it's okay. And he knew some guys needed to have extra, hey man, we need to go do some extra catches. Other guys, oh, you're good. Like he knew he had that balance and all, and it was. I would say Steve for sure.
Wow. Okay. Do you remember who you sat next to in the locker room at Valley Ranch?
Mike and I think James McKnight one year, and then was it Wayne McGarrett? No, Mike was on one side, and then it would be like a new guy on the other side. And Joey was after Mike got hurt when Joey came. So those were for the 4 seasons. It was Joey 2, Mike 1.5. Well, actually Joey 3, Mike.
Because actually I was on the other side of Mike.
You were. Your desk was.
No, but my locker. I was actually one of the few employees ever to get a locker in the players' locker room.
Okay, so
Paco up there. Matter of fact, I had one of the guys.
Is it on?
It's not on here, but I had one of the players say, "You know what? It just registered to me."
See, but wait, you go out that curtain, make a right, and right by the mirror, you had your setup like your office.
Right, but on this other side is where you guys were the receivers.
Right, and right here, and then Mike was here.
Yeah, that went to the
and then go out to the lunchroom.
Right.
Okay, I didn't remember that, but okay.
But
you only got a little bit of time. You're taking too long.
Oh no, we got time. Okay. We got time. But we had Joey Galloway, and you, Wayne McGarrity.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Mike McKnight was over there.
J-Mac, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I haven't talked to Wayne. Have you talked to any of those guys at all?
I text Wayne, I call him Wheezy, back in the day, maybe a year ago. McKnight maybe a year ago. Joey about a year, maybe once a year, like, hey, you doing a good job. Yeah. What's up? Where you going? Like that kind of stuff.
Joey comes to town like maybe once a year.
But it depends on the colleges too around here. But Joey, man, I tell you what, his analytical skills and his ability to communicate them in his own person or personality and voice he's excellent. He does a really good job.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy. I got one quick Joey Galloway story. This is remember when he tore his
ACL. First game, remember?
Yes. I was right there on the sideline when it happened. I heard him make a noise, and I thought he just twisted or something. Man, it was bad. But anyway, so I was, of course, I had to take care of Joey. So one day I'm over at his house, and he's got some young lady there.
In South Lake.
South Lake.
Okay,
yes. He lived right next to Rafael Palmeiro.
Okay.
Palmeiro had his Ferrari parked out there all the time. Anyways, so I'm sitting there with Joey, and he had this Doberman Pinscher.
Doberman?
Yes. And I mean, that thing
Aren't those erratic dogs?
They were mean. Anyway, so we're sitting there watching TV. It's Joey on the couch with his girl. And it's me and the Doberman. And I love dogs.
Okay.
I love dogs. I'm sitting there watching. All of a sudden, Joey says, "Hey, watch it." And when I turned to look at what Joey said, that dog growled and snapped at me.
What?
And he left his teeth marks on my chin. I mean,
you serious?
Yeah, but I wasn't mad at the dog. But man,
what the heck?
Joey got up, and I felt so bad for that dog. I thought Joey was gonna kill it with those crutches. Man, he beat that dog so bad. And then I
wait. Who was he saying watch it to?
To me, because he said he saw the dog.
He saw the dog getting ready to...
Yes.
So the dog was just looking at you like, I'm about to bite into you.
Yes, and I didn't know that. I'm watching TV. Joey's sitting over here, and he saw the dog fixing to bite me, and he said, "Hey, watch it." So when I looked at Joey, the dog...
Haba.
Yeah,
like
man,
that?
Yes.
Okay, that's crazy.
But I wasn't mad at the dog. I love dogs. It's just a dog. But Joey, man, I thought he killed that dog. He beat it to
man.
The girl was crying, telling him to stop, and I was telling Joey, "That's enough. That's enough." Poor dog, man.
Man, you might want to edit this story out because PETA is no joke. Even years later, especially now, and they got you. You done messed Joey's life up. His career's done.
But yeah, I talk to Joey every now and then. J-Mac, I got him on Facebook. That's how I talk to.
I don't have Facebook. I usually. How do I use
Instagram?
But I keep it private. I don't Twitter. But only reason I got that was because they started telling me in order that when people were corporations would ask you to come be a part of whatever they were doing, they wanted to at least have. They asked, "Does he have any social media so he can whatever?" I just got. That's the only reason I got it. But yeah. Anyway,
and that's
we only got 7 minutes left. Quick.
Yes, that's the reason why I have Facebook. People are like, "Why are you on Facebook?" Because it helps promote.
Yo, you know what I heard is on another level, especially if you have a business or you want to make moves within the business realm, networking, whatever, is a LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people, especially when I listen to podcasts and stuff about business and just how people make moves and networking and stuff. They have whatever LinkedIn, you have to pay for certain levels of it.
Right.
But they are always raving about it. It's like, you can cut the middleman out and go right to whoever if you know who you're looking for.
And they're always asking, "Do you know this person?" Or "This person has now joined LinkedIn."
Now, I'm not on LinkedIn. I just know I'm thinking about.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
But that is supposed to be a good one.
Yeah. But we got about 2-3 minutes. So Rocket. So real quick, your kids. You got one daughter that's in California.
So. We have my children. My oldest son is at University of Wyoming.
Playing with
the
Jimmy
Cowboys.
Smith. Jimmy
Smith, young Trey. Jimmy Smith is third.
Yeah.
He's a big running back. That cat is on another level.
He comes to the gym, works out when he's in town.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So he's in Wyoming. My oldest daughter was at Texas State, but now she's doing her thing with the she's an artist and she has a studio and she makes. They call it furry fandom.
Yes, I've seen that.
But she's like
the costumes kind of.
She like rowdy and mascot costumes that. She makes those. People pay her money to make those for her and draw. And then she has a business that makes logos and stuff. And so she's at the house, but she's working, just doing her passion, loving it, doing amazing. And then my youngest daughter, she's the actress. She was at Loyola. She took this semester off because she's traveling and doing auditioning for roles and stuff like that. And she's a social media what do they call it? Influencer. She's like an influencer. People pay a lot of money to do stuff like that. And then my youngest is a junior in high school now, Judah.
Right.
He's a junior in high school, and
He's the one that boxes.
He's the last one. Yeah, he's the one that likes the boxing, and he wants to transition. He wants to get the hands right first and the foot right first for his stand-up game.
Right.
Then I think he wants to maybe hit Muay Thai or go to the jiu-jitsu next year.
Okay. Well, did you read where Greg Hardy is?
Oh, I saw that.
He's fixing to fight somebody's pretty good.
Alex, like a high level
yes.
cat.
You know who they approached at first to train him when he first left the Cowboys?
Who?
Montoya Boxing Gym. They called us. They said, you know a guy named Greg Hardy? We're like, yeah, why? Would you like to train him? We're like, yeah, sure. This was his agent calling us.
Oh, and so were you going to be a stand-up
we're going to train him. Yeah, we're going to train him.
Not only in stand-up, even in like jiu-jitsu
No, just
and
the
grappling?
boxing part.
Just
We're going to do the boxing part.
The boxing coaches, okay.
And
did he not like it, or they found somebody else, or didn't?
no, actually, that's when he went on one of those deals where they couldn't find him for a few days.
Okay, you gotta.
His agent was like, his head's not straight yet, you know.
Yeah, man, you gotta.
So,
those demons are tough to break, man. But
Yeah.
once you find something to replace that, especially if it's something that you have potential in, but it's not realized yet, that helps to get your energy going in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, Rocket, I mean, I've enjoyed talking. I know we didn't go over a lot of things.
Man, we didn't cover a lot. I knew an hour wasn't going to be enough, man. That's too
why.
short.
So the good
I was
thing,
trying to talk as fast as I could.
but you know what? The good
What?
thing is if we do a show at another facility.
time?
No, at a.
I like this. This is no distractions. You can talk with. Do you?
Yeah, but you got a lot of fans out there.
Oh,
and
yeah,
they
okay.
want to see you. And they you know, hey, I met Rocket.
All right, I understand.
Like I said, I mean, a lot of people. I feel like I let them down, and you know, some of the unfortunate things, you know, happen. But I'd like to have you out if we do that, and you would probably be the first person we'd have you 2 times on the show. But you know, people want to see you're still in demand.
I understand.
And
I understand.
unfortunately, I still don't believe Notre Dame's that good. I know you and my brother probably do.
I will say this in your defense, because I'm with your brother, national championship or bust. I will say we are in the position where we can't afford to miss any of the opportunities. I'm talking about on the field,
Right.
like that is or that are presented to us, because I don't feel like we're good enough to make up for a lost touchdown or dropped pass or a penalty
Right.
that is errant. We have to take every opportunity and capitalize on them in order for us to reach our full
If
potential.
you're in the
as
red
far as
zone,
Notre
yeah.
Dame is concerned,
If you're in the red zone, they've
you
got
gotta
to put
score
points.
Yeah, you need to get the touchdown. We
yeah.
don't need the field goal.
Right.
Like that kind of, especially when we're playing SEC, top ACC level schools.
Well, my school is not at that level, but they used to be. SMU, we're 7-0, bro.
Yo, I was about to say, y'all, I like what's happening
Yes,
with
7-0.
your
Dykes.
boy.
Dykes is a
Where
coach over
was
there.
he from?
His dad was Spike Dykes, and his dad coached in
But
Southwest
wait a minute,
Conference.
wasn't he?
He was assistant coach.
Reese, I'm talking about, where did he come from before he was at SMU?
Right off.
Someplace. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm checking him out.
He's-
Matter of fact, you got a CJ Sanders, the return man, is over, and a receiver is over at SMU right now.
Well, you know, Deion's son Bucky played at SMU also.
I remember that.
Yeah, and then you know, remember Coach Biggers, the strength
Charlie,
coach?
yeah.
Yeah, his
He's
son.
coaching?
No, his son plays for SMU
Right now?
defensive tackle, and
Yo.
and then his other son is a cornerback for TCU
Right now?
right now. He's
They
got-
went to Capel, right?
yeah.
Yo, that's what's up.
Coach,
You know what's
Coach
crazy?
Biggers, I've been trying to catch up to, and we keep missing each
Man, I'm
other.
gonna tell you what's crazy. How, just feeling old, how now all the guys that I played with,
Yeah.
it's like I'm seeing their children are like
Yes.
in the league now, and or on the cusp of being in the
Yes,
league. It's
yes.
like, golly, oh man. Anyway,
Well, Rocket, thank you very much for coming on.
Man.
Billy didn't make it, but
that's all right.
Okay.
Safe travels to you, Billy, brother. One day we'll see you soon.
I thank you very much for coming out, Rocket.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You got
SMU
it.
number 1, Notre Dame number 2.
Oh, well, let's reverse that last statement. Notre Dame number 1, SMU number, well, they're 7-0, so they can be 1B.
Okay. See y'all next week, guys.